Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to deconstruct a mission that honestly reads like something out of science fiction. But here's the thing, it's not. It's the new reality of modern warfare.
This one idea right here, this is the key to understanding a radical, fundamental shift in military thinking. Okay, let's really dive into this.
That was the central challenge, right? That was the puzzle facing the planners behind an operation codenamed Absolute Resolve.
So before a single shot is ever fired, you have to understand that the modern battlefield is just a storm of data. And that is exactly where the hunt begins.
The entire operation's nervous system is a cycle called F3EAD. Now, this isn't just some linear checklist. You gotta think of it as this relentless, high-speed loop of gathering intelligence and then acting on it, designed to get inside the enemy's head before they can even react.
So how did they get so sure they had their guy? Well, this is where it gets really clever. They fused different intelligence sources together. They used mobile network exploits, basically tapping into a global telecom protocol to see the security details phones all coming together in one spot. Then they layered on metadata analysis, which flagged weird patterns, like everyone's phone suddenly going quiet at the same time. And for the final confirmation, a stealth drone, something like an RQ-180, just hanging out overhead, giving them eyes-on visual proof of the convoys. By fusing all these streams, they built what they call a certainty of objective of over 90%.
And here is where human ability gets, well, supercharged. A human planning team, they might take, say, 16 minutes to generate 3 possible plans. The AI decision engine for this mission, it generated 10 optimal courses of action, factoring in fuel, risk, timing, you name it, in just 8 seconds. That is a staggering advantage. It turns a total flood of data into a decisive edge.
Okay, so the target was protected by one of the most formidable multi-layered air defense networks in the region. Think of it like a virtual onion of Russian and Chinese systems that had to be peeled back one electronic layer at a time.
Now, the strategy wasn't a brute force bombing campaign. No, it was a sophisticated electronic assault. For the long-range S-300 system, the answer was digital saturation, using cyber attacks and these little things called MALDs, which are basically decoys, to completely overwhelm its radar. For the mobile book systems, it was straight-up kinetic destruction. Find the radar and destroy it with an anti-radiation missile. And for those tricky anti-stealth radars, they brought in specialized EA-18G Growler jets to provide targeted, full-spectrum jamming to just blind them completely. Each layer of that onion had its own custom-tailored counter.
And this analogy, it brilliantly illustrates the core of modern electronic warfare. You don't just destroy the enemy's senses, you manipulate them. You make them question what's real, you cause them to shoot at ghosts, and in the process, they give away their own position for a precise takedown. It's about inducing a state of total sensory paralysis.
This number, 150 plus, that represents the total number of aircraft. We're talking everything from stealth fighters and electronic attack jets to special ops helicopters that were all seamlessly coordinated in this assault. It wasn't some chaotic swarm. It was a precisely choreographed ballet in the air, with every single plane and helicopter performing its role at the exact right second.
And this is so crucial. Before the physical assault even began, the enemy was already digitally deaf, dumb, and blind. That cyber attack created chaos and confusion on the ground, disrupting their command and control and making sure that by the time the helicopters showed up, their ability to coordinate any kind of response was fundamentally broken.
So, with the path cleared and the enemy totally disoriented, the kinetic phase of the operation began with just breathtaking speed and precision.
The timing on the ground was incredibly tight. From the moment the Special Operations Forces landed to the start of extraction, the main part of the mission was done in less than 30 minutes. That kind of speed isn't improvised. It's the result of months and months of intense rehearsals and meticulous planning where every single move is synchronized down to the second.
And this wasn't about big Hollywood-style explosions either. The assault used tools chosen for very specific reasons. Explosive charges were for speed, creating instant entry points to maintain momentum. But for the really tough, hardened steel doors, they used thermal lances for a silent, rapid breach, preserving that element of surprise right up to the very last moment.
Capturing the target was only half the battle. The next phase was just as critical, making sure there was a seamless transition from a military objective to a federal detainee, where evidence and identity are everything.
This whole process is absolutely crucial. It's not just procedure. It's about preserving the legal integrity of the entire operation. Every single step, from the medical check to the chain of custody for evidence, is designed to hold up in a federal court and completely refute any claims of mistreatment.
This is what they call positive ID in the field. Using a portable biometric kit linked up by satellite, the operators confirmed they had the right person in a matter of seconds. This completely eliminates any chance of grabbing a body double and ensures the mission's primary objective is met before you ever leave hostile territory.
So, what does this all mean? What's the big picture here? Operation Absolute Resolve wasn't just a successful mission. It was really the validation of an entirely new way of fighting a war.
JAD-2. This is the connective tissue that made this whole thing possible. It's the system that allowed those 150-plus aircraft, the cyber operators, the intelligence analysts, and the ground forces to act not as separate units, but as a single, synchronized organism, all working from the exact same real-time picture of the battlefield.
This layered architecture is what makes it all work so fast. You've got data being gathered by sensors, then processed right at the edge, like on the drone itself to reduce lag, then it's all fused into one common data fabric. This unified picture is then pushed to commanders, letting them make faster, better-informed decisions than their adversary. It's a complete loop, from sensor to decision and back to action, in near real time. Of course, a system this interconnected and reliant on data also presents a prime target itself, making its own cyber defense just as critical as its offensive capability.
The key takeaway here, the big thing to remember, is that in modern conflict, information superiority is now the ultimate high ground. Having the best data and the ability to process and act on it faster than your opponent is way more decisive than just having the most firepower.
And this is the provocative question we're left with in the wake of an operation like this. When battles can be won with cyber attacks and data fusion from thousands of miles away, it forces us to reconsider the very nature of power, of borders, and of security. It's a lot to think about. Thanks for joining this explainer.